Hey, welcome back, y'all. Today we're going to be working on putting some heat in these two dog houses. Right now it is 75 degrees out here in Georgia. It is a gorgeous day. It's early November. In 2 days we're going to be in the mid-20s overnight for a couple days. So I want to give these dogs some heat at night. This is Bennett. He's about 7 to 8 months old. And this is his sister Lucy. So this is what I'm going to try to do to give them some heat. I've got these, I think these are called brooder lamps, but I call them utility lights or heat lamps. These are the good ones. These have the ceramic base, and they are good for up to 250 watts. I have some of these that are work lights I got from Home Depot or Lowe's. They're a lot cheaper. They have a black plastic base. They're only good for 150 watt. Because I'm going to be putting heat lamps or heat bulbs in here, I wanted to get the better quality base. These were about $15 each. Instead of a heat lamp bulb, we're going to try these ceramic heat emitters. These are only 150 watts. They do make these up to 250 watts, so we might upgrade later. And these were a little pricey. I got these at Walmart. These were about $15 each. I got some hardware cloth. I think this was like $20 at Lowe's. I'm gonna build a little cage around these, I think, because they're gonna be hanging in the doghouse, and I don't want these dogs chewing on them or hopefully not getting too close to them. Here is the work light I was talking about. See, it's got the cheap plastic base. It's great for light bulbs lighting up an area, but I don't think it's good for a heat lamp or a ceramic heat emitter. The one I just bought, it's a lot bigger than this work light. I like that it's bigger, so maybe it'll spread the heat out a little bit more and not direct it like right onto the dog if they're laying under it. So this brooder light, it came with this little cover thing here. It's going to be hanging inside the doghouse, and this might hang down too low, so I don't know. I have this light hanging here because I'm going to plug it in. Let's plug it in. First, I want to make sure that it works, because you know the light doesn't come on. Now that I mention it, that is why I chose to use a ceramic heat emitter instead of a light bulb. Those heat lamps, I know they put out a lot of heat, even though I've never owned one or used one. I think they put out a lot of heat, but they also put out light, and these are going to be in the doghouse at night, and I don't know if is that light going to keep them up or screw up their sleep cycle. You know, I finally got these dogs to where they sleep all night. They're not barking all the time and waking me up. So, long explanation longer. I'm hoping that this ceramic thing will put out enough heat without putting out light. It's only been a few minutes. I can already smell this thing heating up. I don't know. It's not like your heat coming on for the first time in the winter, but I can definitely smell this thing, and I can feel the heat. It's a little bit windy out here, so this thing's probably going to be really nice in the doghouse. I mean, I'm probably a foot, 12 inches away from the bulb, and I can feel heat right here. I've got my little cooking thermometer thing here. Let's see. Look like that bulb is about 464 degrees. Heat shield's like 139. Okay, at least this bulb works. I'm gonna leave it on for a minute while we kind of build our cage, and let's see how hot this thing gets. We're like going on up. We're about 500 degrees now. I built these 2 dog houses over the last couple of weeks. We've got some straw in there. At some point I'm gonna insulate them. They're not insulated yet. Probably built them a little bit too big, but not sure how big these dogs are gonna get. I built 2 of these. This one is a little bit smaller. Of course, most of the time, the 2 dogs, oh, there he is. Most of the time they stay in one of the houses. Anyway, I think I did okay. I have a piece of flashing that goes on the front of this that wraps over the front. I just haven't put it on there yet. I spent a lot of time on these houses, sanding down edges, trying to make them safe for the dogs. I put a coat of primer and 2 coats of Valspar Duramax good quality exterior paint, because I'm hoping these things last a long time. And these dogs, they don't care about paint. They're chewing the houses apart. Look at that. He's laying on that one, but they have chewed these things all to pieces. We don't really know what we're doing. We're just kind of figuring this out as we go along. So I got my heat lamp sitting on top of the hardware cloth, and I'm going to use these cutters, and I think I'm just going to cut me a strip off. I got my strip cut off there. So now we're going to cut another piece off and kind of square it up, I think. All right, I think we're looking pretty good here. So I cut the square out, and then I kind of, well, I use these snips to kind of cut the corners off of the square. Kind of made it round. We got it bent up over the light fixture. This thing is so soft. Got to be careful because I'm bending this shield as I try to bend this wire mesh around it. So that looks pretty good. There are a lot of sharp points here. Hopefully the dogs won't be sticking themselves. I have a bunch of these soft metal pins left over from a failed landscaping project. They're used to put landscaping fabric down. Big waste of time and money there. Anyway, I think I'm going to use these, run it through all these little holes and just loop it, you know, to secure this thing on. All right, we got her stuck through there and just twisted it. And now I'm going to cut off the extra with my wire cutters. Not my finest work. I guess it's functional, but look at this. I have ripped my brand new light in a couple spots. Trying to twist these things so tight, it just rips this shield, whatever this thing is, and then these things are loose anyway. But I think overall it's secure and it's going to work. I just finished the second one, and this one I used a much smaller wire. This wire came wrapped around the hardware cloth, so I should have used this on both of them. Right, got it pretty tight on there, no damage at all to the light. Hopefully these bulbs last a very long time, because this is going to be a pain when I have to change these. I need to drill a hole in the back of the doghouse big enough to put this cord and this plug through. I have a 1-inch drill bit, so I think that should be big enough. I've got my hole drilled up there. We got one drilled in each of the houses. I need to hang the light from the ceiling in the doghouse. I think I'm going to use this little hook. I'm going to hang it on the other side. I already drilled a hole on the other side, so the hook would screw in towards us. One concern is that because it is an open hook, and it'll be hanging up here. A dog could potentially knock it off the hook. Hopefully they won't do that. I don't want to permanently install this. I want to be able to just unhook it and take it out of here. All right, I have the hook in there. This thing is lower than I'd like it to be, but it is what it is. To protect the wire from the dogs chewing on it, I got a piece of 1-inch EMT conduit, metal conduit. It's a 10-foot stick. It was $20. Flexible conduit would have been better, but it was a lot more expensive. So we're gonna make this work. This piece is about 23 inches. I'll show you in a minute, but it's gonna go inside the house. I have another piece here that's about 25 inches or so. It'll come from the house outside the fence. I did have to make this hole bigger, unfortunately, and we'll seal that up with some caulk or something. Another thing we had to do was trim this plug down. I just took some scissors and trimmed it off a little bit so it can slide in and out of this conduit. The conduit's pretty much going to be permanent, secured in place, but this light, I want to be able to take it in and out of the house whenever I want to, you know, just unhook it from the hook, pull the wire out of the conduit. They're always wrestling and playing with each other. All right, I think we're about ready to plug this in and test it. It's getting windy. The sun's going down. It'll be dark in an hour probably. I just had to move this bigger house over, move them closer together. I'll show you why in just a minute. Take a look in here. Got the light hanging up. Got my conduit strapped in there. Same thing going on here, except the light's hanging a little bit lower. Really don't like it, but whatever. I'm really not happy with the whole way this thing turned out. Got the conduit coming through the fence. I wish I could have used flexible conduit all the way from the heater all the way out. It's just too expensive. I've done so many projects here lately. I've spent so much money. I don't know, we just gotta do what we can on this one for right now. Over on the back side, you can see I've got the 2 cords for the lamps plugged into this one 3-in-1 thing. That's why I had to move the dog houses closer together, because these cords were not long enough. And I got my drop cord here. It just runs around on the ground, up there, over to the house. Of course, this is just zip tied on here for now. Got this thing pointing down, you know, maybe to keep the rain out of it. The last very important piece to this whole project is a timer. And this is a special timer I just bought. I spent another $20 on this dang project. And this is a cheap one, I guess, but got it from Amazon. This is a short period repeat cycle timer. Okay, what you can do with this, you can set it to turn on and go off, turn on and go off, over and over, forever. So to me that is important, because I don't want these bulbs to stay on all the time, right? They might get too hot, they might burn the dogs, they might make the house too hot for the dog to be in, they might catch the doghouse or the wheat straw on fire. That's what everybody says, right? Heat lamps, heat bulbs, whatever. Fire risk. Well, hopefully this thing is gonna help prevent some problems. I'm gonna start it out with 5 minutes. So it'll run for 5 minutes and shut off for 5 minutes. And then it'll turn on for 5 minutes and off for 5 minutes. And then I'll just kind of check it out. I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in and test it out, and then it's not really that cold out here right now, but later tonight I'll come out here after dark, we'll plug it in, and I'll see. Bro, you can't chew on that. You can't chew on this metal lid, dude. No. I had this thing plugged into my living room earlier, and I had a lamp plugged into it just to test it out. So I've got it set to come on for 5 minutes and off for 5 minutes. And I was basically driving my wife crazy because the lamp, I was outside working and I forgot about it. And for a couple hours, the lamp just kept turning off and on over and over. So we're gonna just confirm that. So now it's gonna be on. This is the cord that runs out there. If I can do this one-handed. Okay, so it should turn on for 5 minutes and off for 5 minutes. It's probably going to take a little bit of testing or trial and error to get the time dialed in. Having it off for 5 minutes might be too long. The dogs might get too cold. So maybe it needs to be on for 5 or 10 minutes and then only off for 2 or 3 minutes. You know what I mean? So we'll see, we'll figure it out. We'll test this thing out over time. If I stick my hand in here, I mean, it's working. Stick my hand under the bulb. What's up, bro? You feel that heat? Oh yeah. This one's very warm. Of course, this house is a lot smaller. I just went and checked, and the lamps are turned off. And this thing is in off mode. Little lights out, it says off. It's showing 2 minutes. I like that. It kind of has it was showing 3 minutes, so it counts down. It seems like every time I finish a project, I always think of a better way that I should have done it. And I notice now how far these houses are away from this fence. As I was struggling to make these cords long enough to plug them into one thing, and I moved the houses closer together, I didn't even think that I could move the houses closer to the fence. So I'll probably do that later. The dogs do like playing around here. You know, they run around these houses a lot. They're always playing and fighting with each other. And of course, I've got this electric wire here for the fence, so I can't get all the way to the fence, but we can definitely get, I don't know, maybe 1.5 feet closer. We're gonna wrap it up here. I'll post an update video, let you know how this thing worked after a few days of really cold weather. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.